Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I was reading some news today, some articles, and I was reading some articles related to Davos, Zelensky, peace formula in Ukraine, and all these articles came one after another. And just by reading the titles and a little bit just going down the body of the article, just to skim through and see what the hell these guys are talking about, I just came to I don't know, an enlightenment or a question which could sound very, I don't know, maybe infantile. Why? Because we all have a certain conclusion, reach a certain conclusion about who really is behind this individual called Zelensky, Volodymyr Zelensky, the current president-elect of Ukraine, of the Ukrainian nation. Obviously, there are, interpretation. No, he is the president. No, he is the American puppet. No, he is the special interest. No, he is the whomever, the globalists, puppet, and so on. And I think that even through the method of elimination, or let's say who he is not, because sometimes you say, well, who is he? But then you can say, well, I know he's not this, I know he's not this, I know he's not this, so what's left? And you narrow it down to one or two or three options, and you go from there. In this video, I will try to answer this question on who is behind this guy. Why? Because I will show you a few articles, I will give you some examples, and it can't be he's just the America's puppet. He doesn't behave, he doesn't talk like a puppet of some guys in charge of Washington, D.C. He's not talking like that. The way he's talking with and about certain powers, I haven't heard anybody who was not killed after a while by the same forces that supposedly supported him. So let me show you a few articles here, and I'm going to point out at the way he talks about Russia, China, how many countries, how many leaders of countries, strong countries, just bent over backwards for this guy or for Ukraine per se. First, Zelensky, I know he's not his own man. Whoever thinks that Zelensky is his own man and he accomplished his, being elected as the president as his own individual strong, I think that person really needs to be born again or something, start over, or maybe is very, very young. If someone really believes that Zelensky is his own man, like for instance, I would say Trump. Bad example, because people might not like him, but he seemed to be his own man. He achieved his things through his own merits. He played the system, but he's his own guy. You can't pinpoint to an interest. Okay, it is this group that promoted him. It is that organization that promoted him. He seems to be alone. Now, let's go and go over some articles that I thought were very interesting, very revealing. So I'll start with the first one. There's the Davos summit right now in Switzerland, organized by Klaus Schwab, a rich guy, with the help of the Swiss government. They managed to gather over there about 80 countries that said, okay, let's talk about the peace formula for Ukraine. It's not Ukraine who organized it. It was others organizing for Ukraine, and which is represented by Zelensky. So Zelensky is not the guy in charge. He was just someone threw a party for him and for his country. No, the country that elected him. And his country is not the richest, not the strongest, not the smartest, not the good-hearted, the biggest heart in the world. Is nothing specific about Ukraine. It doesn't have the biggest solar energy for the clean energy. It doesn't have the uranium, plutonium, whatever. It doesn't have the gold. Doesn't have what? What does Ukraine have that would make it the pinnacle of this globe, this world, that important leaders of these countries would not cross him? On the contrary, will only speak highly of him. And it's always in Europe only the Western countries. The Asian countries don't give a fuck about him. So it seems like he has an influence through whomever is behind him only in the Western Europe, let's say North America, and that's about it. Not even Australia and New Zealand, maybe. They don't have in Africa. He doesn't have in Africa, doesn't have in the Middle East, doesn't have in South America. So that tells me his power, whomever is behind this guy has a grip on the Western world. So he talks like this. Let me show you. Ukrainska Pravda. And I think all these articles are going to be from Ukrainska Pravda. Zelensky hints that Russia will not be invited to Global Peace Summit. The Global Peace Summit will be organized not by Ukraine. Ukraine is a bankrupt country. Doesn't have resources. At this point is alive as a society financially just because it's given money from United States of America. They paid for the government. They receive aid. So other people create this summit, not Zelensky or Ukraine. They have no money. But somehow he creates this, or whoever, and he's in charge of this summit that he's not even able to turn the light on. That's how much money they got. But he talks, Zelensky is allowed and respected, whatever he says. So he's the poor relative at the party, and he's treating everybody like he is really the guy in charge, or or the interests behind him are so strong that everybody bends over backwards. So let me show you what he says. He hints that Russia will not be invited to the Global Peace Summit. First, is it up to Ukraine, do you think? Ukraine begs for the help of everybody else. Without everybody else, Ukraine will be dead. He will be dead. So it's like you have a how do you call this? A homeless person, and you give him some, steak. You cook a steak for him, and he's gonna say, well, I don't like the steak. The steak is not the way I want it. I want it, rare or well done or medium or something like this. You don't have anything. I give you this because, in a humanitarian, or I have to give it to you. You treat me as you are in charge of me. You don't have anything. I give you a steak. I cook one for you. And you tell me, it's like, shit, Emil, you're a homeless person, or are you? So they say who they're going to invite, and he's going to talk with the Swiss, I think, Prime Minister, whomever is over there, who invited this weasel over there. I don't think he is. He's just whomever we're told invited. And he says the Swiss president, actually. So when asked who Ukraine would invite to participate in the peace summit, Zelensky replied, and I'm quoting, "We are open to all countries of the world." You can't organize a freaking cricket game in a parking lot. "We are open to all countries of the world that respect our sovereignty and territorial integrity. So draw your own conclusion about who we invite. Apparently, the president meant that Russia would not be among those invited to the summit, even though the Swiss foreign minister had said that the day before that Moscow should be involved in the peace talks. So this weasel tells the Swiss, you don't tell us who you invite in our name to the peace summit. Now here he said, European Pravda cited Zelensky on a visit to Switzerland after talks with Swiss President Viola. So that means you draw your own conclusion. Well, I'm not going to talk to, I don't have to say, you draw your own conclusion. Who talks like that? A boss. Is he a boss? He's not a boss. Let's go to the next article. Ukrainska Pravda again is from today again. Switzerland to allocate over $1.7 billion for reconstruction of Ukraine by 2028. Why? Why? What urges Switzerland to do such a thing? Why would they care? They didn't, I think, know where Ukraine was located before. 2 years ago. What's all this money going over there like crazy? Take from their people's lives, give it to, don't make a fool of yourselves. They don't give to Ukraine or to Zelensky. It's something behind they will profit. So they profit for what? After destroying Russia? Okay. Destroying then China? Taking over? Who are those interests? What are they? And this guy talks as nobody would cross this guy. There's no president aside from Orban, maybe, that talks down on this guy and say, you know what, get the fuck, go over there, go. None. I'm talking about in the Western world, let's put it this way. Europe, North America, Canada, the white countries, let's put it this way. No one. Why wouldn't they dare? Remember when this guy, Zelensky, went, for instance, to Bulgaria? He smacked the president of Bulgaria in his own country, in Sofia, in the capital. The same guy smacked Macron in 2022, when on about May or June, he just said, he didn't tell Macron, he said, why is President of France talking to Putin every day? What do they have to talk? Macron stopped talking to Putin because this guy, who is not his own man, Zelensky, from a country that you can't compare, is nothing extraordinary about it, told the French president to shut the fuck up and don't talk to Putin anymore. And he didn't that day. Do you think that Macron was afraid of Zelensky or Ukraine? I guarantee you not. There is not. Who's behind? This guy even talked back to Biden. Biden got upset 2 times with this guy, and then nothing. When Zelensky shows up in Washington, D.C., Biden rolls down the red carpet. Why is it? He has to give Zelensky legitimacy. And I'm not done. Let me show you further. I'm going to go to the next article. Again, from the Ukrainska Pravda again. Here it is. Ukrainska Pravda, the same date, Monday 15th. Zelensky and European Commission President to meet in Davos. What does a president unelected by the European citizens have to do with Ukrainian guy? I'm going to talk about who Zelensky this is as a matter of fact. Right there. They're going to meet, my friends. They're going to meet. And the last one, which I think again is very revealing, is how he dares to talk like he's in charge. And about whom? Let me show you the next article. Coming again from Ukrainska Pravda from today. We'll see. We will see Zelensky on China's participation in Peace Formula Summit. Remember, someone is going to organize that summit for Ukraine, which happens to be under this guy's ass. This guy was over there, okay? He's over there. We'll see if China would be invited or not. We're going to make a determination. Now, China, however you want to turn it, however, as population, as landmass, as production, military, influence, anything, if you want even history, if you want even culture, if you want even philosophy, in anything almost you can think of, China is there, and Ukraine or this guy are somewhere else. And he decides if China, now who is this Zelensky? Now remember, this is China. It's not Romania or Bulgaria or Hungary, which are no smaller countries than Ukraine. Now who's Zelensky? Zelensky, we are told, he was elected in the Ukrainian nation. I know Ukrainians. I know how anti-Semite some of them are. Firsthand, I know that, okay? That's pretty, now it doesn't mean that they're all like that. And he was elected, and he's Jewish. Now he's Jewish. He appointed the prime minister Jewish, appointed the defense minister Reznikov, then Jewish, appointed the chief of staff Jewish. The previous prime minister was also Jewish before, what's his name, Shmihal, in Ukraine. Then, Reznikov, the defense minister, his department was involved in corruption with money. He got fired, never indicted or charged or investigated or anything. He got scot-free. And a guy in Tatar was appointed as the defense minister. So he got in charge of Ukraine, really, 3 Jews and a Tatar. This is reality. It's nothing against that, if you know what I mean. But doesn't sound very strange? Where have you seen this? We almost get it in France now. But look, and let's say, take Israel. I'm just taking, as I always give this example. You would have like the president, the prime minister, the chief of Mossad, and the chief of Israeli defense ministry. You would have, I don't know, some Iranian nationals or origin. How would that sound? Do you think that would be possible? And if not, why not? Because that's a Jewish state. But that's like that. But if you have a country and it's Ukrainian, wouldn't you expect to have Ukrainians leading Ukrainians? How come you have the whole echelon? The guy's in charge, and you have Zaluzny. Zaluzny is the only guy. Zaluzny the only guy who got smacked, by the way, who is in charge of yes, sir. Who's Ukrainian? Ukrainian as Ukrainian. You know what I mean? Now, who is this Zelensky, my friends? Who is behind him? Well, it can't be Biden. It can't be United States of America alone. I don't think it has that much power to have this guy say, I don't know, let me think about inviting China. Do you think he's waiting for orders from the United States of America? The United States of America is also shackled. I suspect by the same interests that push this guy and keep him over there. It's too much unanimity. People, countries, leaders are regimented. They all speak in unison about a guy, a clown from a country that they didn't even care 2 years ago. All of a sudden he's like the center of the universe. They organized this peace summit for it. We don't know if we organize Russia. That's imbecilic. But he talks like he is, but he's not. He's not. Don't make any mistake about, hey, Zelensky is actually his own guy. Look how he walks. Look how he's talking. That's an act, but who's behind him? Big countries are afraid of him. France is afraid of him. Germany is afraid of him. Nobody would say anything to this guy. It was only one guy who got upset, and that was the president of Germany at one point, remember? Where an ambassador, a Ukrainian ambassador, said something that he's like a sausage or something, and he got upset about it. But it was the ambassador, was a Ukrainian ambassador. He was not to Germany. It was not Zelensky. Do you remember he didn't want to visit Ukraine because that guy insulted him? But it was not Zelensky. And that was not a Zelensky Stein either, the ambassador. I don't know, my friends. Right now, I don't think that is. I mean, I don't. I discard. I put it further and further away. That is United States of America. You know, United States of America is like the guy who brings you the mail, but the mail is produced, sent by someone else. So it's just a middleman. United States of America is just the one that points fingers, organizes things, and everybody, rides around. I don't think it's United States of America whatsoever. I'm talking about the government. Their interest beyond, above United States of America. Who are those? And those interests don't have power over China, over Russia, over Iran, over Brazil, over India. They don't have power. So who are they? Who are they? Tell me a group. Tell me an institution or some institutions that have this much power only over the Europeans or whatever, North Americans, and that's about it. I don't want to think of conspiracy theories, but what's left? What's left? In my life, I have this. I developed this behavior, and it happened to me many times. And I implemented. I put it in my way of trying to find answers to questions. I go over a lot of information in a very short period of time, and it seems like the brain, I don't know if it's the brain in general, my brain, it works like that. It sees a pattern. I'm going to give you an example. I have here a book, and I'm going to use an example. This is the Almanac of American History. This is the approved history of United States of America, Arthur Schlesinger. I read this book. I don't know how many pages I have. 580 pages in one evening and a half, one night and a half. So let's say I started about 7 p.m., 8 p.m. I was done by 5 or 6 a.m. and then I read again about 3 more hours probably in the evening next day. And this is with dates. This is, it's the history of the United States dated, chronological, from whatever chronologically. Now, when I read this book, and this is one of the latest examples. This is when I really got this. I said, oh, you know what? When I read it so fast, you see patterns you're on different directions. You see developing, and you can figure out what directions and who's was doing what. This is how I the same. Today, after I read this, I just scrolled and I see these articles, bam, 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 bam. It was like reading this fast. And I said, it can't be United States of America whatsoever. It's someone else. And it's only in the Western civilization. Someone has a grip. Some group, some institutions, some interests have a grip only in the Western world. Who are those guys? Not in Brazil, as I said, not in Brazil, not in India, not in South Africa or in Africa in general. Why? Because they are not yes. That means they do not receive orders in Asia and so on. My friends, even by elimination, it gets me to that power that some people talk about, but you're not supposed to talk about. There is over there, and you can't talk about certain families and certain interests and certain organizations. Those organizations have power only in this area that I mentioned. Yeah, I know. I'm still waiting. He can't be so much, so arrogant just because he's like that. These guys do it seemingly voluntarily. Throw parties for this guy, and this guy comes and shit on their plate. What is this? Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.